Okay, let's talk about writing Python. We're not just here to write code that works. Today, we're going to dive into 10 shortcuts that will take your perfectly functional Python code and turn it into something that's truly elegant, efficient, and professional. Let's get right into it. So, have you ever written a script? You know, it runs, it gets the job done, but when you look back at it, you can't help but think, wow, there has to be a simpler, cleaner way to do this. Yeah, we've all been there. And that feeling is a classic sign that you're ready to level up your skills. And this right here, this is our game plan for today. Don't worry about trying to read everything on this slide right now, because we're going to break down each one of these 10 powerful shortcuts one by one to help you really elevate your coding. So let's jump into our first section.
We're kicking things off with 2 foundational shortcuts. These are all about boosting efficiency and making your code way more readable right from the get-go.
First up, the absolute legend, list comprehension. Look at this. We're taking a kinda clunky multi-line for loop and slimming it down into a single beautiful line of code. This is what people mean when they talk about Pythonic code. It's not just about getting the right answer, it's about doing it in a way that's clean, readable, and just feels natural to the language. Next up, it's time to say goodbye to awkward string formatting. F-strings are, honestly, a total game changer. You just pop an F right before your string, and then you can drop your variables directly inside curly braces. It's kind of like Mad Libs for your code. It's super intuitive and so much easier to read than the old ways. All right, let's keep the momentum going. Our next set of tools is specifically designed to make looping over lists and other sequences an absolute breeze. So, how many times have you been in a loop and needed both the item and its index number? The before method you see here with that manual counter, it works, but it's just asking for a bug. Well, enumerate solves this perfectly. It just wraps around your list and, with each loop, it hands you this neat little pair, the index and the value at that index. So clean, so simple. And this is just brilliant. Think of the zip function like, well, a real zipper. It takes 2, or even more, lists and just zips them together. It creates this single stream of pairs or tuples where each one has an item from each of the original lists. It is the perfect way to loop over multiple things at the same time without that messy index juggling. So what happens when you're unpacking a bunch of values from a list or a tuple, but you don't actually need all of them? Well, that's where the underscore comes in. Using an underscore is a crystal clear signal to anyone reading your code, including yourself 6 months from now, that you are intentionally throwing that value away. It's a simple convention, but it makes your code's intent so much clearer. And that brings us to a really important idea. Great code isn't just written for the computer. It's written for the next human who has to read it. And you know what? That human is very often going to be you. We just talked about ignoring values with an underscore. Well, this is the other side of that coin. Unpacking lets you pull elements out of a list and assign them directly to meaningful variable names, like X and Y here, instead of using confusing numbers like 0. Your code instantly becomes more readable, more self-explanatory. Oh, you have to love this one. This is one of the most famous Pythonic tricks in the book. The old way of swapping 2 variables, it needed a third temporary variable and took 3 whole lines of code. Python lets you do it in one single beautiful, unmistakable line. A, B equals B, A. It's just so concise and so clever. All right, for our final section, we're going to look at shortcuts that give you much more precise control over your program's logic and help you handle things like files way more safely. Forget about writing a whole loop just to check if something in a list is true. Python gives us any and all. Just like the slide shows, any will tell you true if even one single item in that list is true. All, on the other hand, is stricter. It needs every single item to be true. It's a much more direct and expressive way to write your logic. Okay, this is often called a ternary operator. It's perfect for those moments when a full if-else block just feels like overkill. Instead of 3 or 4 lines, you can assign a value based on a condition in one super readable statement. The structure is simple. It's the value you want if the condition is true, else the other value. Super clean. And finally, we've come to one of the most important concepts for writing really solid, robust code: context managers. See, when you work with resources like files, you have to remember to close them, no matter what, even if an error happens. The with statement does all of that for you, automatically. Seriously, think of the with statement as a self-cleaning oven for your code. It's your safety net. You open a file, you do whatever you need to do, and the second your code leaves that indented block, Python guarantees that file is closed properly. It happens even if there's an error. No resource leaks, no worries. This is an absolute must-use.
And there you have it. You've just added 10 incredibly powerful new tools to your Python toolkit. So let's do a quick lightning round just to lock them all in.
Okay, we covered one-line list creation with list comprehension, clean, easy strings with f-strings, getting an index and value together with enumerate, combining list with zip, signaling what you're ignoring with the underscore, clearer assignments with unpacking and multiple assignment, smarter checks with any and all, compact if-else logic with the conditional expression, and finally, safe resource handling with context managers.
And I really want to leave you with the pro tip from our source material because it's just perfect. The key isn't just knowing that these things exist, it's actually using them. Try them out in your next project. Go back and refactor some of your old code. Your goal is to make them a natural second nature part of how you write Python.
So my final question for you is this. Which one of these are you most excited to try out first? Which shortcut are you going to use to make your code cleaner, faster, and more professional starting right now? Thanks for tuning in.